day 39. Come out, turned it off now. The hot water just running everywhere. Second time on this trip. We're looking at issues with the hot water here. There's a few things to keep in mind. One, there needs to be a natural air pocket maintained at the top. If that air pocket gets compressed too much, that will cause this valve to go off. Now, it can get compressed too much for a number of reasons. One of them is that the water gets too hot, which rises the water up, collapses the air pocket, sends off the pressure. This also has a temperature trigger on it, so the temperature itself could trigger it as well. The other thing that can happen is you can have too much water pressure coming into the RV. That's one of the important reasons to have a regulator. Also, when you fill the hot water tank, if you bled the hot water tank with this right here, this valve, to let it fill more, you may have collapsed that air pocket or made it able to collapse. Leave that down while filling it up. Just open a faucet inside, and that will allow the right amount of air to come out. Also, just while moving around, etc., sometimes that air pocket can collapse, and when that happens, you just need to turn off the water pressure, wait till it's cool enough to do it, drain the water down to where it doesn't come out of here anymore, put it back, and that should reestablish your air pocket. Well, our hot water here, as you saw, was flowing out of here. Most likely it was not a bad one of these overflow valves, but these do go bad. Little pressure releases do go bad. Generally, they just leak when they go bad. A little leaking, not a bad thing. But if they're leaking constantly, probably bad. Rarely would it go bad where it just goes off all the way. But just in case, I changed. Now to take this off. Couldn't be so lucky it would be hand tight, but with this off, maybe I can get a wrench on it. We'll see if we can turn it around and get that off. I actually had two sizes because I've had these since I've had my other RV. I had different size hot water here, and I picked this one up. This is the one I need. Didn't solve the problem. Then I checked the regulator to see if we had too much water pressure going in here. And the regulator was actually bad, so I thought that was the problem. Changed it out, still happened. So that was not the problem. Also, I did make sure I reestablished my air pocket, still continued to happen, which leads me to the next thing, which is to change out the thermostat. And the thermostat is right down here, located under this. And we also have our ECO, and I'll just change them both out while I'm at it, and we'll go through that process. Now, this is a fairly easy thing to do, and you may wonder, how do I know the difference between the ECO and the thermostat? The thermostat's range is a lot lower than the ECO, which is making sure that the hot water here cuts off if the water gets too hot. If for some reason this valve doesn't go off and it still heats, that will turn it off. It's another little safety feature. You don't want too much pressure or too much heat inside of these hot water tanks. That could cause them to split open or worse. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm going to take this piece off. That'll give us better access right here. It just takes a flathead screwdriver, and we'll take this piece out. Change all this, but these parts go bad fairly often, and they're very inexpensive. So if you're going in there and you're changing stuff out on your hot water heater, you might as well just go ahead and change these out too. This is our thermal cutoff replacement. It literally is plug and play. Real easy to change. Ordered a packet. They come with two. I keep these right here in my drawers, ready to go in case one goes bad. I'm gonna go ahead and replace it while I'm doing this. Yeah, right here is the replacement for your ECO and your thermostat. Like I said, the one that says 80 on it will be your ECO. The one that says 60 on it will be your thermostat. They're real easy to change out, but I'm only gonna be using the ECO off this because while you're changing it out, anytime you upgrade, you should, in my opinion, and it's really cheap to buy this thermostat upgrade. We'll show how that goes on there. What this does is this is adjustable hot water heater. Hot water heaters don't come adjustable. They hit about somewhere between 130, 140 degrees, and that's all you can set it on. This one allows you to be able to turn it up to that same amount, but you can crank it down a little lower if you want to. Maybe you have young ones or elderly or someone who's just susceptible to burns or whatever. You just don't need your water that hot. This allows you to adjust the temperature. And it's only, you know, it's a fairly cheap item. I think it was like 12 bucks on Amazon. And I did order this one just for this. I keep these on spare, but I decided I'm changing out the thermostat. I might as well go to an adjustable. That plate off, which was just held on by 2 screws. I can now take this plate off. Now that I have that piece off, I ended up having to, the wire was on one of the screws. Should have seen that. But here's that little thermal cutoff I told you about. Like I said, it's just plug and play. Might as well change that out while you're at it. As a matter of fact, it may be the issue. So just change them all at once is my thing. Really doesn't matter which one of these plug into, but I do note it's brown, this one red, and then double red. These two matter. These two have to go on this one. Swap it, and this two need to go on this one. But we'll just go ahead and just literally reach in here. I can tell right now that coupler's bad. All right, so the brown here comes off. Comes off. Now we're gonna take the red off. Take the double red off. And to actually have an extra one of these, so we'll just rip this off. What this does, this little pad, is it protects water from getting in here. And we'll talk about that a little bit because there's some extra stuff you can do too. And I can already tell, look, that was already unseated. I took this off and I haven't peeled it all off yet. This was already out like this. And that's probably what was giving me my problems. It shouldn't be like that. It should be held in by these little tabs. But the next part of this is we're just going to bend these tabs back. That'll give us access. This right here, what you're seeing right here, this is the wall, the aluminum wall of the hot water heater. These little thermostats just press against the wall and they measure the temperature through that wall. One thing I'll do different, not telling you to do it, because it's not in the directions, is I will be using some grease here, our compound that will help keep that connection good. You can get it at any auto body spot. It's the same stuff you put on your spark plugs. And I actually recommend it on all your electrical fittings. They're going to be an area that could get wet. It'll keep it from getting rusted. It'll keep the connections good. I also use it on my plugs, my 30 amp plug on this rig. They go into the camper pedestal and into my Bulldog. Before I was doing that, occasionally sometimes they would heat up. You'd see a little melting on the ends, etc. Started doing that. Haven't had trouble since I started it. So just a little tip. I'm looking at my replacements and I hold them up really small writing. My age. This one is an 82, right about 80. That's going to be not your thermostat. 60. This is your thermostat. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to put a little dielectric compound. It has some ones called compound and grease. To me, it works about the same. Right here on this. Not recommending you do it because it's not recommended by the manufacturer, but it's what I do. But make sure if you do it that the compound or grease you get says that it's sensor safe. They don't want to interfere with sensors. Okay, so what you do here is you got these little pins here. This is on a spring, so you want to push it in there, get that good spring action, and you can push these tabs down in until it's nice and tight, held up against the aluminum wall. And you know, it can go up and down a little bit, which this one isn't, but maybe I even have it in there a little too tight. But eventually you just take a screwdriver and push those pins in to hold it into place, and as long as it's solid in there, should be good. Now this is where we're going to upgrade a little bit. This comes as a piece here. You see where it adjusts. A is the coldest. There's nothing in the instructions to tell you that. You just got to kind of figure it out. But A is the coldest. It comes preset on C. My recommendation is stall it. See how you like it on C before you adjust it one way or the other. This piece, a spring, and then you got these two wires here. These are in case the The sizes are different on your unit. You can use these to jump it up to the size required on here. Sometimes your fittings are going to be the smaller ones. So it's just kind of like a little adapter. Most of the time you can plug right onto it, but we'll see. And what way we do it is we'll have this piece, the spring will go over it. Yep, sorry about my camera action. So this piece, the spring will go over it, and then this piece will go over that. Even though I could rig the other one to work, I'm just going to go back with the style that came in out of here. It'll give me confidence. Even with that other one, if I could fix it where it would stay, I just don't have confidence it would stay bouncing down the road. I have confidence in these little guys, so I'm just going to hook these back up. All right, now both those are in there. I just pushed the tabs back here with the screwdriver. Got those in there. Now I'm going to put a new little cover sheet on it and plug everything in. We got that on. Remember to connect the green wire, and now just put the next plate on. 2 more screws. All right, all hooked up. Everything should be working fine now. Really won't know until I take it back out, because I'll have to let the hot water heater run for several hours before you know if that was the actual issue or not. But anticipate it will, because we've now replaced pretty much everything. We've got a new regulator to control the water coming in, pressure. We have a new valve here. We've got a brand new thermostat and ECO. We've got a brand new cutoff, thermal cutoff. So unless it's the motherboard, we should have taken care of everything. Okay, if you own a Blackstone, you need to go onto Amazon. They put these on so cool and order these. They're super cheap. But on those windy days where the Blackstone's acting up, slide them on like that. One for the back, one for each side, and that blocks the wind and makes everything work fine, even on a windy day.
StoreSketchers.com or wherever
That's the place to sit, Yoshi.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.